Hey, this is Chris Jericho of Fozzy, and you are listening to the Paulie Z Show. I can't believe you're listening to it, but you are listening to it. The most hypnotizing man on the radio, and he's really, really sexy too. Kind of. Not really.
Yo, 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 welcome to the Paulie Z Show. It is episode 14, and I am back in my hometown, New York City. And I hope you enjoyed the three-part LA series where it was beautiful out there. And now I'm back in the freezing cold and the snow and the rain. It is terrible, but it is New York, and I love it. And today, got a very special guest. We have my good buddy, Chris Jericho. Chris, you there? Say hello.
I am here, and I can't believe you've had 14 episodes of this dreck. 14 episodes? People have been following this for 14 episodes?
Can you believe it? It's ridiculous. And you know what's funny? I got to tell you, Chris, out of all the people who should not have a podcast, it would be me because I butcher the English language. Is ridiculous. Like anybody from Brooklyn should never have a podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Wait,
hey, people will listen to anything these days, and they'll watch anything.
Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you said? Is that what you said?
What?
Did you just say that's what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't say talking to boot. I said people will watch anything and they'll listen to anything. I don't have the Eastern Canadian accent of what are you talking about, eh?
I hear it.
Ours is more like the accent from Fargo, like, oh, super. Oh, that's a good one, eh? That's more of a Winnipeg Canadian accent.
Well, you're actually born here though, right? You're born in America, but your family's
No, in America, man. I was born on Long Island, Manhasset.
Oh,
Manhasset represent, yo.
Nice. Look at you, East Coast.
Yeah, there you go. That's why I was born there because my dad used to play for the Rangers.
Okay.
And but he's from Winnipeg, so in the winters we stay, in New York, and in the summertime go back to Winnipeg. So I am a dual citizen.
But now you live in Florida. So when did you decide to go down there?
I lived in Winnipeg till I was 19. Then I moved to Calgary. That's where I trained for wrestling. And then I moved from Calgary to Orlando, like in about 97. Stayed there for about a year, then moved to Tampa after that. So I've been in the States probably, 13 years now.
Oh, so wait a second. I've been here a lot longer than you, so I have seniority over you. Don't forget that.
Well, and plus this is your podcast, so
yeah,
you automatically have seniority. But since I'm the best guest that you've ever had, if you're not nice to me, I'll hang up, and then you got nothing. Then you got 55 minutes of Paulie Z telling stories about eating pulled pork and stuff.
Well, that's basically the first episode. That's what it was.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been through that already, so you got nothing left.
That's right. I got nothing. Well, listen, I can talk about food all day long because it's what I love, man. It's my drug. I just love it. And you know that because you've seen me eat.
Man, this guy can eat. I'm sure you've been through the eating a whole pizza and eating all the, I think you ate your per diem in one meal. At the pulled pork place at the barbecue joint we went to.
Yeah.
And I think I had to lend you a couple bucks to pay for that meal. So it's not like you still owe me about $5 or $6.
No. Hello. Who lent you $20 at the Italian place at Nam? See? Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
Okay, lent me $20. Here's the story for all you fine people listening, all 7 of you.
Whoa.
What?
No, we have jumped up, believe it or not. We have over 3,000, I think. Believe it or not.
Over 3,000 people download your podcast?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? That's insane.
That is crazy. That's great.
Yeah, we started out literally with nobody, the beginning, and it was like I joked around with when Portnoy was on. He was actually my very first guest. And we were joking around. I said, yeah, I have 4 listeners. And he's like, well, once I put it on my site, be prepared. You'll have a bunch more. And then it steadily grew. But honestly, I think it was episode 10, we found out that our all the numbers doubled and tripled, the fan mail, the subscriptions, and the listenership. Yeah, it was really insane.
And people pay 99 cents to download this? Or
no, it's free. That's the whole point. It's
free.
Yeah, you just listen to
gotcha.
it. Yeah, I'm not trying to make money. This is for me. It's supposed to be fun. And the honest truth is, I mean, I get to see you, enough that we get to, be we get to hang out. Yeah, reasonably, right. But there are some people that we've met over the course of doing Z-Rock and touring, whatever, that, whether they live on the West Coast or on tour or whatever, we don't have a chance really to hang out like kind of the way we do. And
Right.
this was such a great vehicle for
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
just to get them involved.
Okay, well,
and
let's go back. Let's go back to how cheap you are now.
No, no, no. I was trying to
So,
divert from that. Don't you understand?
okay, no. Yeah, well, people listen to this to hear the real scoop. They want the real behind the scenes story.
No, they don't.
Of Paulie Z, and that's why I'm here.
I don't think they
do.
So
we go to Buca de Beppo in Anaheim when we were out there for the NAMM show. And it's myself and you and the other boys. Actually, David wasn't there, but Joey was. And Mike Portnoy showed up. My wife was there, and a friend of mine and his wife. So we were all there having a great time. And Buca de Beppo, if you guys have never been there, is one of these places where it's like you order lasagna, they bring this huge plate of lasagna, and everybody shares it. So it's lasagna and salad and tortellinis and all this other stuff that I don't, the Italian food. So we're eating it, and then, of course, because I'm a nice guy, and I'm excited to be hanging out with my friends, I decided to pick up the tab, and everybody's very thankful for that. And then it's time to pitch in for the tip. So everybody puts in, it's a pretty big bill because, we ate a lot of food. So it's probably about, $60 tip or $70 tip or something like that. And everybody's pitching in, and then when it comes to his turn, he doesn't pitch in anything, but he gives me a $10 coupon that I can use. So instead of putting in the money for the tip, I'll just put in this $10 coupon, and you can use that. And it's like, well, okay, whatever. It's a little bit of a
it's $10. It's worth
$10. Exactly. $10 is $10, right? So even though it wasn't even enough to cover your share of the tip, still whatever. So we take they leave. You guys leave to give Portnoy a ride, and so it's my wife and I, and my friend and his wife, and then we're just enjoying the last couple sips of wine, and we give the waiter the credit card and the coupon. And he comes back about 5 minutes later and says, yeah, the coupon is expired. This is from last year. So you didn't pay anything, and you gave me an expired coupon to use. So you did not lend me $20 there. You gave me $10, which had expired.
No,
so
I lent you.
Oh, you gave me nothing.
I lent you $20 at another place. Don't you remember when you asked me?
God, and the reason why we were at Burns in Tampa, I said to Joey, "Watch this," and I asked if you could lend me $20 so I could pay the valet guy.
The valet,
and
that was it.
Did, but very, very. It was very reluctantly that you gave me the 20.
So wait,
and then
did
when
you
we
not?
got to the Hard Rock, I asked for another 20, and once again, very reluctantly.
That's right, $40.
Almost painfully. It was painful for you.
It was. What did you say? I have deep pockets and short arms.
Short arms. You're a T-Rex. You're a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And little stumpy little arms, and your pockets are, you got your pants on the floor, looking like a fool with your pants on the ground, and your arms are short. So that's the thing.
But I did lend it to you. You can't say I didn't.
You did, and then I paid you back, I believe.
Yeah, and I made sure you paid me
I'm
back.
going to.
Well, no, you did. I made sure, like, I followed you when you went to the ATM to get pizza, remember?
That's true. That's right. Oh, he's right behind me at the ATM. Yeah, you get that 20 that you owed me?
Yeah.
So this is the wacky adventures of Paulie Z.
But I have some good qualities, no? I hope.
Well, you know what I was thinking, and this is like I was watching Idol, the tryouts this year, and I know obviously CO2 is going great and all that stuff. I don't even know if you're even old, if you even could do it, because you might be too old now. But I was like, Paulie should go on American Idol, because with your goofy personality, you would totally win. Plus, you can sing like a mofo. There's no doubt about that. But personality-wise, you'd blow everybody out of the water. Like, you'd be perfect on that.
I was when they start. Yeah, I'm definitely over the 20. I think it's 28 is the limit now.
I think you're 28 now, yeah.
Yeah, and I just turned 28 a couple weeks ago.
Exactly,
Yeah.
just a couple days. Well, actually, you just turned 29. Yeah, right.
Just turned 29. But I remember when it first came out, and ZO2 was sort of like we were. I think it was right around the Kiss tour or something like things were going really good. And I remember a lot of people were telling me to do it. And then more so when they did Rockstar. You remember Rockstar Supernova?
Yeah. Right.
A lot of people were pushing me to do it. And I don't know. I don't know if it was if I regret it or not. I don't really. But, I wonder what would have happened if I did. And then, like, let's say I did get into the finals, like Daughtry, or, even if I didn't win, but if it was, like, close, and then put
Well,
out a
yeah, I mean,
ZO2
that's what.
record, you know?
Sure, I mean that's what Daughtry did. Even Adam Lambert's got a set band. I mean it's one of those things you never know. Like it would have worked out. But I was just thinking, from a personality wise, I mean it would have been ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, I would have been. Well, that's the thing. I try to combine. I'm redefining the rock star. I'm redefining cool. It's like I like, because if you have the talent to back it up, I think you can really do anything you want. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. It's
Well, and
like,
that's how you make it in show business. Is you have to do something that no one's ever done before. I mean that really is the secret. I was told that years ago. From wrestling, and whether it's the style of music you play or some kind of a gimmick or some kind of a personality or something. I mean, show business, think of all the people that have done it over the years, from, Paul Stanley to, Liberace to David Lee Roth to everybody in between. You gotta be over the top. You gotta be a showman. You gotta be a party host. And I think a lot of bands, I know a lot of guys in wrestling too, but a lot of bands don't realize that or don't embrace it, because how many personalities are there in bands nowadays? Like, name any band from the 60s or 70s or 80s, and even some from the 90s. It's like everyone knew who Eddie Vedder was, and everyone knew who,
Scott Weiland,
who Chris Cornell was, or even Kim Thayil. He had, the Pakistani guy or whatever, the long-haired guy. You knew that. How many guys can you name, like in Shinedown? Or,
right.
I mean, Avenged Sevenfold has some guys because they have, like, the gimmick names. So, like Zachy Vengeance or Sinister Gates. You hear that and you remember it, which is cool. It's like Slash or something. But a lot of bands don't have that now, and it's no fun, because where are the rock stars, man? You know what I mean? Like the guys who everybody knows. Like everyone knows Axl Rose or Keith Moon or Eddie Van Halen or whoever. And so it doesn't really have that now, and it's kind of sad.
Well, I always said that, to me, the last great rock band was Guns N' Roses, like rock stars. You know what I mean? Because Nickelback is successful, and they're huge, and Creed was huge, but they weren't like what you're talking about, and what the people that I listened to and grew up with had, which was that, like, almost superhero-like someone. I always say it's like, if you can't make an action figure out of you, then you're worthless. You know what I mean? No one's gonna buy this.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth, and that's not a bad call. Because, like you said, you mentioned Creed. I think Creed is the biggest band of all time that no one will admit to having any of their records.
Right.
And Nickelback too.
Yeah,
and
no one's going out and buying Chad Kroger, action figures. No one's.
Yeah, because it would be boring if you had one. And like the fact that, like, okay, we know Chad Kroger's name, but you don't know anybody else's name in that band.
Right.
And in Creed, you knew Scott Stapp and you knew Mark Tremonti, but in Guns N' Roses, you knew Izzy and fucking Duff and. Are we allowed to swear on this? If I did,
yeah.
You have to beat that. Izzy and Duff, and like you knew every guy in the band. They all had a gimmick. Like I said, like when it came for Appetite to Destruction, and the cover with the skulls, but you still knew which skull was which. Oh, that's Axl's skull. That's Duff's skull. That's Steven's skull. If you did the skulls with Creed, you wouldn't know who was who, or Shinedown, or whatever, right?
Well, the songs, that's the thing. They got the songs, but we are missing that, the personality. And the thing is, like you said, it's like I've struggled with, and it's probably crosses over the same thing in wrestling, like you said. I can imagine you can go out there and there's tons of wrestlers, and what makes one guy different than the other guy? Obviously the Undertaker, he's like, he has a shtick, or this guy has this thing, or I'm the plumber, or I'm the construction worker, whatever it's got to be. And, for me, I think, for a while I was sort of not embracing who I was and the band. All three of us are sort of kind of goofy characters that love doing kids music, and we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do drugs, don't have a tattoo, never been arrested. I know you have, but we'll talk about that later. But but you know what I'm saying? But yet we have the musical chops to back it up, and we put on a kick-ass show. There's no doubt about that. So it's like, why can't that be our thing? It's like that hasn't been done, and that's what I agree with you. Like, that's what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to.
But also, all three of you guys look like a band. You look like rock stars, and that's one thing with Fozzy. When we were taking pictures for the Chasing the Grail record, it was like, the last record, it looked like a bunch of five guys wearing different stuff, and it was very hodgepodge, and I just didn't like the look. We didn't look like a band.
Right.
So this time I was like, listen, there's a rule. Leather jackets, sunglasses. That's the basic thing. Everyone show up with that. and jeans that fit. You know what I mean? Like some guys just don't know. Like our bass player and our drummer don't really have a sense of fashion. So we took those pictures. Like finally, it looks like a band. These guys look like they could, come to your house and kick your ass type thing, and that's what you want. But a lot of bands don't do that. And like you said, a lot of wrestlers too. So you have to connect with the crowd. You have to look different from the norm. I mean, AC/DC can get away with wearing. People say, well, AC/DC wears what they wear on stage, off stage. No, they don't. Angus Young doesn't wear a cool boy suit,
Right.
and because Brian has the hat and Angus has the suit, that's enough. The other guys can wear jeans and T-shirts.
Right.
But when you see a band that comes on stage and everybody's wearing that, it's not cool because I don't care. Like in the '90s, it was kind of like, well, it's more of a real thing. And there's no more rust.
Yeah.
But hey, man, Pearl Jam wore the plaid. They still had their uniforms. They still had their stage wear, and I think a lot of we need more of that show business element back in music and in wrestling, for even in hockey. When I was a kid, everyone who knew who Tiger Williams was. He was the biggest goon in hockey. Everybody knew his name, and now it's like you don't even have personalities in sports like you used to. And I think it's because we live in such a politically correct society that it makes it harder for guys to break out on their own as their own character, and it kind of takes a lot of the flavor out of entertainment and show business.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's also, it becomes a corporate thing. I think with at least in the music industry, I don't want to talk about sports, but it seems like in the music industry, you don't have enough people going out on the line and backing up something like that. Like a band like Kiss, if they came out now, or any of these bands that we're talking about, I don't know that anyone really out there has the money or the balls to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I'm going to support this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everyone's very safe
Right.
because it's such a fragile industry right now that it's like, well, if the song doesn't sound like Shinedown, if it's not like an obvious hit that fits into this little box, then I can't do it. I can't risk my job on it or whatever.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly it, risking the job. That's because the thing is too is that you talk about Kiss or any of the big bands, Aerosmith or Metallica or whoever is playing arenas now, U2. None of those bands were huge on their first records. They all built. The first record came out and sold 10,000. The second one sold 20,000. The third one sold 50,000. And record companies were invested in the long-term prospects of these bands. Now it's like if your first record comes out and it's not a big hit and get the right push right off the bat, your band is almost done.
Yeah.
And if heaven forbid if you even take Kiss. They had a bunch of big hits and they put out The Elder and it tanked. And then they came back and they worked their way back up the ladder. Now it's like if a band hits one record that tanks, it's done. Like Papa Roach, they were huge, big band. The last Fozzy tour we did, every place we went to play, they were playing there too. Like they had a platinum record playing in places where we were playing. We don't have a platinum record, but
right.
They had their time and they were discarded. They were on the scrap heap, and it's just that sucks too. Just the fact that the music industry and the record companies have gone that way as well. It's just instant gratification, and there's no long-term builds. I can't remember the last band that I got into that was given the room to build. Maybe Avenged Sevenfold because they had a couple records out before they really hit. But now it's like you don't make it right off the bat, you are pretty much dropped, and that's it.
Well, we felt that. That's kind of what happened with Z-Rock too, because if you think the first season did so well, and it was like their highest rated original program, but yet they wanted it to be like it was like, oh, okay, so the next season's going to be Entourage. And it's like, well, you don't have the money to compete necessarily with an HBO, and those shows have been out for a while. Like Seinfeld was going to be canceled the first season.
Yeah.
They were going to cancel
Sure.
Seinfeld. How do you?
That's
and
right.
Family Guy, one of the probably top-rated cartoons, was canceled and then brought back. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to me that they would be like, well, it's not a huge hit out of the box, so let's move on. Well, nothing's going to ever really be a huge hit out of the box, and if it is,
you're right. And,
it's not going to last.
And to me, it's like for Z-Rock. I mean, you guys had all the elements. It's too bad that they didn't pick it up again because it really. I think the biggest problem with your show was that it was on the IFC. Nobody has that channel. nobody knows what it is. You know, I started watching it with my wife, and I gave it to Edge in the WWE. I gave it to Rich Ward, the guitar player of Fozzy, like anybody that I thought would appreciate it. And they all said the same thing. What is the IFC?
Right.
You know, we don't know what this is.
It's a shame because it's actually a great chat, and I have to say on record, everyone there I have no problems with. I love they were such a good team, like good people, good network and everything, but just maybe that they didn't have the right vision, or just maybe not even the budget for it because it was a small network, and it really.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, 8 out of 10 people that I would tell them we're on IFC didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know IFC when we went in for the pitch meeting. How about that?
I didn't either when the Marks called me to do the show. And like
Right.
I said, I never heard of the show until Portnoy actually said, "Have you ever seen Z-Rock?" And I didn't know what it was, and he sent me the first season.
Portnoy's still bitter about it because you were on, and he's the one who told you about it, and he's never been on it. He's bitter.
He had his chance. He had his chance, man.
He had to go record with Dream Theater or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's too bad that you know, as a result of that you know, the show got you know, not renewed or whatever, and it's a shame. Like the same thing happened to me. I did a reality show on Fuse. It was called The Redemption Song.
Right.
And it was about all these girls. They were all great singers, but they're all a little bit crazy. Like they had like drug busts, or they're alcoholics, or something like that. They all had some kind of an issue. And the show was really good, and people that watched it got really into it. But it was the same problem you had. It's like, it's on the Fuse network. Well, what is the Fuse network? We don't even know what this is. And you know, as a result of that, it didn't get picked up. Fuse didn't have the money to pick it up, but you know, it was a great show, just on the wrong network. You know?
Right. Well, but I look at it like this: is always things happen for a reason, I believe, and this is you can look at it as a negative, but I don't. Everybody who asked me, I said no. This is a positive because now it allows us. We're free to take it to another network, and hopefully we'll bump it up to a network that might be more suited for the type of show that we're doing. So you never know, in another year or two, you're going to see it on a bigger scale. That's what I believe will happen. But you know, but I'm delusional, so I am. I believe a lot of things that'll happen. But listen, I wanted to ask you real quick because I want to get to Fozzy. But speaking about like making your name in something, you've become one of the more well-known and popular wrestlers. You know, and I stopped watching wrestling before you really kind of became big on the scene. I was really more into the Hulk Hogan, you know, Randy Savage years when I was younger. And I'm just curious, how did you tell us, me and my multi-thousand listeners, like how you found your niche and what you did to stand out amongst the crowd?
Well, the biggest reason for that is because when, like, I wanted to be a wrestler since I was about 12 years old or so. But the thing was, I was never really big. Like, I'm not, even to this day, really big for wrestling. I mean, but in 1990, when I first started, I was really small because everybody was really big. Like, if you were like, you know, 6'5" and 300 pounds of solid muscle, you were instantly a star. And I wasn't even 6 feet tall and maybe weighed 200 pounds, and I was in good shape, but it's a different thing. So
right, like I can beat you up, basically. Like, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Right, except you're too much of a baby. But but the thing was, what we were talking about, I knew that, like, okay, I'm not the biggest guy, but I can be the biggest personality. I can have the biggest character, and I can connect with the crowd the best, and that's what it's all about. You know, show business. You know, if you could be in the worst band in the world, but if you connect with the crowd and something clicks, and I mean, the Lord knows there's been a lot of bad bands that have made it huge because they connected with the crowd for whatever reason. And I mean, you know, and like, you know, like My Chemical Romance, they're not a great band. Their songs aren't great. They've got a couple decent things, but just whatever that emo thing was going on, and just people just kind of gravitated to them as being the saviors. And that's kind of what it takes. So that's what I did in wrestling. I just worked on, like, for me, wrestling was always show business. It was acting, playing a character, playing a part, and that's what it still is for me. So that gives me a different mindset. It doesn't matter how big you are, how many, you know, moves you can do. I mean, that's all part of it, but the most important thing is just connecting with the crowd and establishing a relationship with them so that they'll want to pay money to see you, no matter what. And it's the same thing with my band, you know, or with your band or any band.
Yeah, of course.
You know, if you put on a great show, and if there's 10 people there, 10,000, they're going to tell their friends, and next time they're going to come back, and you know, you'll have more people there, and the word will spread. And that's kind of how I did it. You know?
But was it like, do they have? I mean, maybe I want to get some like inside, you know, juicy stuff on the wrestling. Like, do they kind of decide who's going to be like the main guy? Like, do they say, okay, you know, we like Chris, you're a good actor, or you have a good personality. Okay, so we're going to make you like the new guy, the champ. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's certain guys that they'll you know, groom to be the top guy at some point. You know, they'll then there's ways to do that, but you have to have that ability to get the crowd interested. Because there's been a lot of guys that they've given the big push to, you know, the big advantage, the big storyline push that just never take. I mean, because people just don't buy it. This guy isn't entertaining, or this guy is, you know, he's not good, or whatever it is. So, I mean, you kind of have to have those elements to begin with before they decide to give you the big push. And like I said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now, there's also other guys that they never would expect to be big stars. They don't give the big push to, that people just get behind them and like them. So you get those guys too that kind of buck the system and kind of the overachievers type thing.
Right. But would you say it's more of your like, not so much your moves and stuff like that, and like the shtick, but it was more so like your personality? You're saying is what people like. Like you're a bad guy for the most part, right? Always.
Not always, but for the most part, over the last 10 years, I have been.
Yeah. Well, definitely, definitely since I met you, for sure. Even off screen.
Well, of course, exactly. That's why I have less than 5% of like for you. I'm just doing this because I feel bad. I feel bad for you. It's more sympathy than want to hang. But
terrible.
Yeah, I mean that's it's fun to play the bad guy, and it's also a challenge because most bad guys after a while end up becoming good guys because they're so entertaining.
Right.
And that's in everything. Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter, Freddy Krueger. I mean, you love those guys, even though they're supposed to be scary or evil.
Right. Gene Simmons.
So entertaining.
Gene Simmons,
you know?
Alice Cooper.
Gene
you know,
Simmons,
like Gene Simmons is
sure,
supposed to be a monster, you know, and then you wind up loving him.
You know, he's supposed to be a monster. Now, you know, he's playing kids' birthday parties or whatever the hell he's doing. You know, right? But I mean, so that's the thing. So to be the bad guy is fun. To stay the bad guy is more of a challenge. But it's something that I take great pride in the fact that I can walk that line and still be hated after 2 years. But like I said, the reason for that is because I take this as show business and I'm acting. I'm playing a part.
Well, do you remember when? Do you remember when I was at the show at front row with my Y2 jerk sign? And I was just like, I mean, I have to give you credit, though, because I had probably the biggest, goofiest smile on while I was saying, "You suck, Jericho," and I was smiling, and anybody else would have probably broke out laughing. And you held it, man. You held your cool. You were like playing the part. You took my sign and ripped it up, and I even told you, remember, go back to law school, and you were like, did a double take.
Jericho, go back to law school. I'm like, where did that come from? What the hell does that even mean?
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I was just trying to say something to get your attention, and it's like my mind is a complete mishmash, you know. But you kept your cool though. I couldn't believe it. It was like,
well, I guess because I get into character and I stay with it. So
yeah, very nice, very impressive.
You know, that's especially when you have friends there and they see you there, and you know, I mean, it's cool because you always want to perform for your friends, but also I got to worry about the fact I got 20,000 other people there that hate me, so I don't want to crack a smile for 5 seconds.
Right.
I don't want anybody to see that.
Right.
I don't want anybody to think, oh, he's just playing a part.
Well, how does that work? How does that cross over to Fozzy? Like, do you have, like, do people give you a hard time and say you're an ass, or you know what I mean?
It's tough. Yeah, because when we first started the band like about 10 years ago, and I did have it tied into the WWE quite a bit because I was a bad guy. People automatically assumed, well, I guess we're supposed to hate this because if it's Jericho's band, we don't like Jericho, so we don't like his band. So the last 2 records, I've been very specific in keeping those things apart because I don't want that. I mean, the biggest problem that my band ever had is that I'm a wrestler. You know, and it's like a lot of people have a misconception or instantly think, well, this band will suck because he's a wrestler and he can't possibly do both. But it's the only people that don't like our music are people that have never heard it. You know, it's one of those things. It's like anybody that ever listened to our records digs the band because
Right.
it's, you know,
Well, it's good. It's really. I mean,
yeah,
look.
that's
I'll
the
give
thing.
you my honest opinion. I didn't know what to expect when I first heard it,
Sure.
and I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's like when you. It's like when you hear an actor saying like that, you know, that they have a band. It's like, oh, Keanu Reeves
Right.
or
Sure.
Kevin Bacon, or now like, you know, Kiefer Sutherland's playing guitar and he put out a record. It's like you're automatically are going to be judgmental, and you automatically have like a bit of like an expectation of like, yeah,
Sure.
this is not going to be great, and that's what I
Of course.
thought. And it turned out to be you know, a very pleasant surprise because you guys are really good. Like the music is good, and I told you I didn't, and I was honest with you. I didn't love the production on the other records, like Enemy and
Right.
some of the other ones. It was a little too much for me compression wise, but this new one is much better as far as production wise, sound wise. The songs are killer, and you really can sing. I mean, and you got a very Ozzy you know, and you know, like I don't want to say it's like sounds like Ozzy exactly like a copy, but it sound, you know, definitely the way I get like Paul Stanley or Robert Plant references. You know, you must get that a
Yeah.
lot, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you know, I never intended to settle like saying I'm going to sound like Ozzy. It's like I always wanted to be Bruce Dickinson. You know, that's what I
Right.
used to sing to try and get that. And then after a while, like I said, like it's one thing about our band. We've been doing this for 10 years. I mean, this is our 5th record, so you know how a band grows and mutates and morphs, and you play gigs, and you know, we played hundreds of gigs, and you know, had some serious studio time under our belts at this point. So you do kind of hone your own style and get your own you know, niche going, and there definitely is an Aussie quality to my voice, and I never, like I said, I never realized that until the last record, and some of the songs like, fuck, this sounds like Ozzy,
Right.
man, and now you really get that, but that's where I'm comfortable singing, and it's cool because I mean, fuck, Ozzy's one of the greatest singers
Yeah.
ever, especially those early Sabbath records, and that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah.
Not like it sounds exactly like that, but it definitely has points where
No,
you
it's the
hear that.
influence.
You
Of
know?
course. I mean, it's an influence. It's just like when they said Steven
Yeah.
Tyler was a Mick Jagger ripoff. You know what I
Sure,
mean? It's like,
exactly.
but you
get
wouldn't say that
you know?
now. Yes, Tyler became Tyler, but in the beginning, you come from
Yeah.
somewhere. I was wondering though, does that have anything to do with the name Fozzy? Was it like for
No,
Ozzy or something?
here's the story, and this is I actually am writing my 2nd book, and I just finished writing about all
Oh,
this
you
stuff.
write.
But
Oh, look, he writes books too now. Look, see, now I have to
I'm a
write.
I'm a New York Times best-selling author. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not. Well, how come I don't have a book? Why didn't you give
Well,
it to
because
me?
you never asked me one. I'll
Well,
bring you. I'll give you one next time. Yeah,
give
my
it.
first book made the New York Times bestseller. It was like my life story up until I was 29 years old, and this is the next stage of it. So,
Oh,
um,
wait. I did see that. You're right. It's
yeah,
a pop-up book, right?
yeah, it's a coloring book actually. That's what it is.
Okay, so you're right.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me the Fozzy. I want to hear this.
So the Fozzy thing, just to back up a bit, when you're talking about, you know, the actors playing music and stuff, and the thing is, like, I didn't just wake up one day and go, hey, I'm going to be the singer in a rock and roll band. I've been playing in bands since I was 10 years old. And, you know, I did the bar scene when I was in high school, and Battle of the Bands, and, you know, high school dances and all that stuff. So I always wanted to be in a rock band. That was my thing. And I was really into wrestling. So those two things those were my dreams when I was a kid. And obviously, I grew up in Winnipeg, Canada, so the music scene up there consisted of the Guess Who and the Crash Test Dummies, and that was about it. So wrestling was a little bit easier to get into, but I still never stopped playing music. I still never stopped writing and recording and all that sort of thing and making demos. So when it came time for Fozzy, it's something that I've been doing my whole life, basically. Now, Fozzy started with me and Rich Ward, who was in Stuck Mojo at the time. We had met each other somewhere, and we had like a kindred ship, and we kind of liked the same music. And he was doing a thing in Atlanta called Fozzy Osbourne, which was an 80s metal tribute band.
Uh-huh.
And it was just kind of like an all-star thing, kind of like Camp Freddy.
Okay.
Whoever showed up that week would be there. You know, someone from Seven Dust would come, or somebody from, you know, Clutch would come, or somebody from, you know, whatever bands were hanging around in Atlanta would just come, and they'd do an open jam, and that'd be it.
Right,
so
right.
he invited me down. So we came and played 2 shows as Fozzy Osbourne, and as a result of who was in the band, Chris Jericho from the WWE and Rich from Fozzy, there was like a big buzz, because at the time Mojo was really hot and wrestling was really hot too. So there was like this instant, like, weird supergroup thing, even though we weren't a supergroup. But that's like literally there was a bidding war between 3 record companies to sign us, a cover band.
Wow. Oh, well, that's
So,
why your first CD was covers, right? Mostly.
That's why the first CD was covers, because that's what we got signed to do. So we dropped the Osborne and just kept Fozzy. And, I mean, Johnny Z from Megaforce Records, the man who signed Metallica and Anthrax, signed Fozzy to his label as a cover band and was saying, "Are you ready to be the next Metallica?"
What?
He thought this,
Wow.
that was his quote, "Are you ready to be the next Metallica?" And we're like, we're playing covers. We got guys in the band who are wearing wigs. We're like an 80s metal covers band.
Oh,
He loved it.
You were the original Steel Panther, basically.
That's what I said in my book. We were the first Steel Panther. The exact same thing. Different names. Because I said, we can't just be a cover band. We got to do something more. So we came up with like kind of a whole backstory, like a Blues Brothers, Spinal Tap type thing, and did like a whole backstory type of a deal. And that's what, the record company loved it. But not only was it Megaforce, the other record company involved was Palm Records, who were a subsidiary of Island Records, who was owned by Chris Blackwell, who's the guy who fucking signed U2.
Oh,
and
my
signed
God.
Bob Marley. So we had these are the guys who signed us, Paulie.
Yeah, but now
Johnny
you said,
Z and Chris Blackwell.
but you said just not only maybe 10 minutes ago, you said that the worst thing that could have happened to Fozzy is the fact that you're a wrestler. But don't you see how that helps you?
That was a great thing that enabled us to be signed. But then signing to a big record company and then selling records is two separate things.
Right.
And then when the record came out, I think it sold like 1,000 copies in the first week, and then of course Johnny Z and Chris Blackwell were gone. Because just because I'm a wrestler doesn't mean that wrestling fans are going to go out and buy anything that I do, because it wasn't real. They didn't understand it.
Right.
Like there was covers, but it's Jericho's band.
Right. Well, you don't gotta,
Jericho, and it just.
You don't got to tell me, man, because we thought, with Z-Rock, we were going to be the same thing. Well, this is the next Zeppelin. And it was like, how come we're not selling 1 million records? There's a million people watching us on TV. How come they're not buying the records?
And you think if 10% of the people who watch this show buy this record, we got it. And it's like it doesn't work that way, because the same thing as us. If 1% of the people who watch you on Raw buy the record, 5 million people, that would be like, I think 50,000 records or something. It wasn't even close to that, and because it's different. I'm sure, like in some ways, and I'm sure you might agree with me on this, is that the fact that Z-Rock had a show, ZO2 had a show. I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't even think you're a real band. They think you're 3 actors who are just playing parts on a show.
Yes, I would say 7 or 8 out of 10 people that see Z-Rock. And it really, I was not ready for that. And I have to say, that was the biggest shock for us, was like, we didn't think that. It just made sense. Oh, okay, people will realize it. And it's amazing to me to this day when people are like, oh, so you guys are great actors. What else have you done? I'm like, haven't done anything. Oh, okay, well, so you know how to play guitar? I'm like, yes, we're in a real band. Oh, that's really you? And I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly. See, so that's kind of something that you faced the same way that I did. It was great that you guys got the TV show, but in a lot of ways, it probably hurt a little bit because they don't think it's real. People don't think you're really a band.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to deal with. There's pros and cons to anything you do like that. And because when I first watched the show, like I said, I hadn't heard of your band before. I just thought, because you guys do such a great job, I thought you were 3 actors that were like 3 great actors that had done this show. And then Mike told me that you guys were really a band, and I went on iTunes and found your record and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, at first you just don't know. And that's one of those things that, like I said, you're probably the same as me. The only people that don't like my band are people that never heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you have to break through, that boundaries of, like, just fucking listen to it, man. Don't make opinions until you've heard the record.
But I think overall, would you say, if I had to say overall, it was definitely the pro outweighed the con, because it opened it. Yeah,
absolutely.
So you got to figure that just because you were Chris Jericho from WWE or the other WWs that you were in, were you ever in the WWW? Is that
.com, actually,
is that the Internet Wrestling Federation? No, but sorry, but we were getting too serious. I have to throw in some comedy here and there.
No, but yeah, I think what you're going to say, if I can be so bold, is that I think as many people who checked out Fozzy because Chris Jericho was in the band, just as many people didn't check out Fozzy because Chris Jericho's in the band. So we had a nice fan base off the bat,
Right.
but then now it's our job to convert these other people that have misconceptions that, Jericho can't possibly do this. And my thing is like, okay, Bruce Dickinson is a pilot. Does that mean he can't sing in Iron Maiden because he's a pilot? Like, who gives a shit? It's either good music or it's bad music. It doesn't matter who's in the band. You can be a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. If the music is good, the music is good, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But again, but it's just a matter of, like you maybe thought, the same way we did, that it was just almost instant, or at least Tom,
Right.
Johnny Z
Sure.
thought that. But now we realize that it's not. So now it's our job to make the connection, and that's what we're doing. And it's funny, but actually, and I think I could probably announce it because I'm pretty sure it's official. We're actually playing together in New York at BB King's in Times Square in April.
Yeah,
Right?
that's going to be awesome.
April 28th.
That's going to be very cool.
And I'm hoping
April 28th.
I'm hoping that'll be the beginning of more shows together, because we kind of are in the same boat. You guys have a little bit more history than us, more a few more years and more records, but we're not far off in where we are and what we're trying to overcome, the public perception. So I think if we join forces, and we're both obviously, extremely good looking and in great shape. There's a lot of common things between us.
There's a lot of common denominators there. Both got very nice features, very, very manly yet effeminate. So, that's good.
I think the big difference is the bank accounts right now. That's the big difference.
Well, only because of me, of my day job. I think band-wise, we're probably all in the same boat.
Probably. Well, you know what? But the funny thing is, your day job is the equivalent of our kids' music. When we were doing the kids' music, we were when all our other friends and bands and stuff were suffering, we were like putting ourselves on tour with Kiss. We were, we had merch, like we have like a whole Walmart worth of merchandise. We were doing, banners and this and that, because we had the money, because we were making money doing the kids stuff. And that's where we kind of have to go back to, because
well, you got to do that. So, that's one thing for us. Like when we play in Europe now, we have such a good name there, and we've done such good business that now bands are, calling us to. That's one thing. One thing you never realize when you're a kid and you get into music, you think, okay, Metallica toured with Ozzy in '86, and that's obviously because Ozzy was a big Metallica fan and he wanted to give him a push. So no. Metallica's record company paid Ozzy lots of money to get them on the tour.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. Like you said, you had to buy onto the Kiss tour.
Pay to play.
We bought onto a Motorhead tour. We bought onto a couple tours. But the thing is, it's like now that we're doing good business in the UK, people are calling us to buy on to our tours, and that's the best way to make money. It's as crazy as it sounds and as sad as it is. When you get to a certain level, you make money by taking money from other bands to let them play for you.
Right.
That's kind of how it goes, man.
I know. It sucks, though. It really does suck, but I understand the concept. But you said you played with, you toured with Kiss and you bought onto that?
No, Motorhead.
Oh, Motorhead.
We didn't actually buy onto Motorhead. We had an open offer to do as many shows with them as we wanted. And we did a couple weeks with them. But, we weren't getting, I think we got paid like a stipend, probably what you got with Kiss. I don't know, like maybe, I think it was like $500 a night, or $400 a night, or $200 a night or something, which doesn't pay for anything.
No, but the merch, the merch is what made us, we broke even on the Kiss Poison tour, but it was because of the merch. Like half of it was what they paid us, the other half was what we made in merch. So
yeah, that's how it works, man. That's where you make most of your money is off of merch. And even for us, like, when we go overseas, okay, we're getting paid money from the bands, but that's enough to cover your your tour bus or whatever, your accommodations and gas and all that sort of thing, and any little foibles pop up along the way, because there's always shit going wrong, guitars break or flat tire, or things that happen. Then on top of that, all the guaranteed money that we get from doing the shows, that goes to expenses. You got to keep the machine on the road. It's flights to get over there and paying the band. And by the time it's all said and done, if you don't sell merch, you really don't make any money.
No.
So that's why it's so important to sell stuff and to get that kind of revenue coming in. Because if you don't do that, you don't really make any money on the road. And then, not that it's about the money, but shit, man.
No, but you gotta come on.
You gotta feed your family somehow.
Yeah, you gotta live. And the funny thing is, I love when we got Z-Rock the first season. My friends were calling me. They're like, "Hey, oh, yo, Paulie, it's you." So, were you calling me from your yacht? What are you drinking, Cristal? Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking crazy? I'm like, I probably have less money now because now I don't actually do work. I'm not doing the kids thing because we're actually filming. You know what I mean? Or we're putting all the money back into the band. And everybody thinks we're like rolling into dough. You remember when we were at NAMM, Chris, and that crazy guy came up to you trying to get you. He said, "Oh, you know, Chris,
Right.
you're a millionaire, right? I'm trying to start a label. I need you." Remember that guy?
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody that has some money that
Yeah.
obviously loves music, wink, wink, that I
That
need
was
to start my
great.
label with. And it's
It was
guaranteed
psycho.
hit.
It was
Guaranteed, you
and
know?
we let and what was he saying? I discovered Hendrix. I worked with the Beatles. I was like, dude, you're like 40 years old. How does that work? I was like,
Yeah.
Hendrix was dead before you were born, probably. And I was
Yeah.
loving. I was sitting there just laughing, watching you try to deal with this guy. It was so great, so great.
Well, and you get guys that come out of the woodwork, like you said,
Yeah.
because people think you have lots of money instantly. And then, you know, when we were kids too, I remember, you know, Keel's got 4 albums out. Geez, Keel must be rich
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You know, and
I
they
know, man.
They
It's
had
not,
a pot to piss and they had nothing. I mean, even when you read some of those books about Kiss from the '80s, they had no money.
no, terrible. They were in debt from their stage show.
Yeah, and that's why they toured, and that's why they put out so many records, because they put a record tour it, put out a record tour it, because that's how they made their money. It's like I always thought they were just being prolific, but it's like they had to do that to keep themselves alive.
But you're doing,
You know?
be honest though, because with the wrestling at least, not with Fozzy necessarily, but with wrestling, you do good, right? I mean, you've been fine for a while.
Wrestling. I mean, once again, it's the same thing. It wasn't always that way, but in wrestling, I'm like the like a Metallica or
You're a
like
big deal.
you know, like an Aerosmith or whatever. Like I've made it to the top of
Just
the food
say it.
chain.
You're
You know?
you're an A-lister, all right? Okay, fine. Just say it. You're an
Yeah.
A-lister. You're a big deal, all right? You have a lot of leather-bound books and furniture that smells of rich mahogany.
Yes, Rich Mahogany. And there's a Chris Jericho bowling ball.
Yeah,
Let me
there
just
you
put
go.
it that way. So
Well,
when you get Chris Jericho bowling balls, you know you're making some money.
Ah, okay.
But
Well,
I mean, yeah, so that's great. But I mean, you know, so there's that side of the coin. Then there's the other side of the coin where, you know, the last Fozzy record, you know, I put like 60 grand into it because I started the record label, and then we made it back with the distribution company. We sold enough records. I think we made like 125 grand, but the distribution company never paid us, went bankrupt, and we ended up with nothing.
oh,
You know, and that's a
you didn't
lot
tell
of
me
hard
that.
work down the drain. Talk about crushed dreams. Like, it doesn't matter if you're making $10 million in something else. In Fozzy, we made, you know, $100,000 on our band that we worked our fucking asses off for, and some jerk off ripped us off and then just disappeared, you know, and it disappeared from the face of the earth. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it seems like almost every band has had to go through that, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It does, and I
You
do
know?
understand that. It's like I don't- when you know, it's like it's easy to judge someone and say, like, oh yeah, but you're living it up and you're a wrestler, whatever. But it's like people don't realize that's not how successful people work. It's like a project is a
Right.
project, and if Fozzy had a problem or lost money, whatever, then you have a legitimate right to be upset about that, even though the other thing is making you money.
Sure.
Like, that's how an artist.
Sure.
Or I think any successful
No.
business person thinks. They don't say, I don't
Yeah,
think
you have
Donald
to.
Trump, yeah, Donald Trump could be making worth billions, but if he starts, let's say, a restaurant chain and it fails, he's going to be pissed off. It doesn't matter
But
that
the
he's
thing
rich.
is, too, though, Paulie, what I'm saying is that it's even worse when it doesn't fail. It was a success.
Right,
We
and you
made-
just got ripped off.
and we got ripped off.
Right.
That's
That's
where you want
even
to take
worse.
a gun and go to the guy's house and shoot up his backyard. or
Right.
anything. I mean,
Well,
that's-
don't do that. I mean,
that's where it hurts.
see, this is why you get arrested. You have anger management problems. See?
Yeah, exactly.
You need to
Get another
relax.
arrest
We need to relax you, bro. See, you're getting ripped
I'm
off.
very excited here.
Yeah, well, first it was the record, the distributors ripped you off. Then I gave you an expired coupon. So I understand
Yeah.
where all this anger is coming from. We have to get you some help, my friend. Well, listen, let me ask you a question. When you're on the road, because this main thing, I don't know if I told you, but the main focus of the podcast is rock and roll and food, because you know, we talked about it before. You know how much I love food. And if there's ever a behind the music on ZO2 and somebody overdoses, it'll be me on like rib grease or something. But anyway, I want to know what you like, and maybe you can recommend to the listeners, like places when you're on the road. Like, is there a place like a Burns or another place where you like, oh, I have to go there or whatever?
I love Cracker Barrel. That's a great place to go when you're on the road. That's a great place to eat on the road. It's good food. Great biscuits are great. There's not a lot of Cracker Barrels up around your neck of the woods. It's more of a Middle America Southern thing, but it's really, really good. That's one of my favorite.
You know what I like
go.
about Cracker Barrel too? They have healthy options too. Like they have turkey sausage. They'll do poached eggs.
Exactly. Right.
So what do you order at
sugar-free
Cracker Barrel?
syrup.
What do you order?
I would get the Mama's Pancake Breakfast,
Okay.
which is
Now
I'll
it's
get like 5 scrambled eggs with some cheese in it, and then I'll get the pancake breakfast, but I'll get the blueberry pancakes with sugar-free syrup, no butter, and I'll get the turkey sausage, and then I'll get some biscuits.
Really?
So, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The corn biscuits.
Cornbread.
The corn
Cornbread.
muffins.
Do you
Those are
now
my
you
favorite
work
ones.
out? You work out every day?
I don't. I really don't. I mean, I used to, but now it's like I'll work out enough just to keep myself patched together.
Okay.
But it just ends up being maybe 2 times a week or something like that. So
But when you were working out every day, though, what kind of calorie intake were you taking in?
I was never really like that. I never really got too much into I get this many calories and this much protein. And because the first 6 years of my career, I wrestled overseas in Japan and Mexico. So I was never really around other guys that were like that. I mean, you get some guys, but, big bodybuilder guys. But most of the time, when you're in Japan for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, it's not about, how much calories you're intaking or, your sugar intake or your protein. It's more just trying to get food that you like. That you can actually eat and not feel like shit.
So what'd you eat over there in Japan? What'd you eat?
You got into more, but you eat a lot more McDonald's and KFC and stuff like that. But I still love, you go. There's a thing called the yakitori, which is chicken on a stick, and then there's yakiniku, which is Korean barbecue. That was amazing. You had shabu shabu, which was it's like this raw roast beef that you put into boiling water, almost like a fondue type of thing.
Right.
That was great.
Wait, shabu shabu,
So
isn't shabu shabu the handshake and Mork and Mindy? Oh, no, that's Nanu now.
Yeah, actually, shabu shabu is what a Hawaiian guy wears. It's like one of them dresses that they wear when they're doing the fire dance, I think is what exactly it is.
Oh, I was thinking Nanu. Never mind.
Yeah, if you have to explain the joke, it's never as funny.
Oh, so, shut up. This is my fucking show, right? Don't be smart. Don't get smart with me, okay?
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I mean, now that I've kind of, I started working in the States, and then you're around the bodybuilder guys and the dieting guys, and then that's when I kind of learned about dieting and all that sort of thing. So, and now I don't really diet specifically. I just try and stay away from sugar and try and not eat late at night, and have like 4 or 5 meals a day, small meals. And that pretty much does it for dieting for me. So.
Okay, cool. Any other recommendations before we say our goodbyes? Because I know just so you know, I know you said you only want to stay on for about 20 minutes or so. You would tell me before, but it's been like an hour, right?
I know. I checked my phone. It's been
how long?
54 minutes. See, because the conversation is so enthralling. See, you verbally seduced me.
I did.
You said we'll only be on for 20 minutes, and you talk so well. And now it's like 55 minutes later, and I feel like I've been hypnotized.
But that's what I do. That is my secret, because I've done that even when I was talking to I love it when Matt Sorum came in. I remember, and even Glenn Hughes, like they come in with their jackets on and the scarf on, and they look like they're like ready to go after 10, 15 minutes. And like a half hour into it, like the jacket's off, then the sweatshirt's off, then they're like leaning into the mic, and it's just great because you don't realize it, but I am seducing you. I knew there was no way you were gonna get off in 20 minutes. Are you kidding me? You can't stop talking to me. Who do you think you are?
But that's why it took me a while to get organized too to do this, because I know this isn't going to be anything quick because you have a gift of the gab, shall we say?
Well, let's just finish off with a. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for making the time to do this.
Anytime.
So give me just like another, not a Cracker Barrel. Give me something that's not a chain, something that's more of like a location place.
Somewhere. It's funny because most of the places that we go to are mostly breakfast places because when you get to the arena, usually you have catering. Like if it's a TV day, you get catering there. If it's like a live event where there's no TV, well, then you got to eat on your own. But that's most of the time when you stick to the chains at Applebee's and Cracker Barrels.
So give me
something like that.
So it doesn't have to be on the road. It could be something.
I love Morton's Steakhouse. It's amazing. I think Burns in Tampa that you went to.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite restaurants. I love that. I mean, that's a great steak restaurant, one of the best I think in the world that I've been to.
Yeah.
And then there's a place in Winnipeg, Canada called DJ's Pizza, which is the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
Better than New York? Well, first of all, have you had Brooklyn pizza?
Of course I've had it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying for me, this DJ's Pizza is, I don't know if it's the sauce or whatever it is, the fact I grew up there eating it, because I'm from Winnipeg. Which is, I've never had another pizza ever that I like better than DJ's.
DJ's Pizza, and is that only in Winnipeg? Is that like a local?
Only in Winnipeg. Only one location in the world. And I've made this place famous.
All right.
And when I go there, they still don't give me free pizza. Ever.
See, that's see now that's the difference between me and you. See, you might be this famous wrestler or whatever, but when I go to Hill Country and when I go to like even Peter Luger's, they hook me up with. I don't need a reservation or anything. I get free shit, baby. That's how I work.
All right.
So I'll teach you. I'll teach you. Oh, hey, I got free Buca de Pepo dinner. Oh, right? I didn't pay for that.
Yeah.
I didn't even. All right, listen.
You son of a bitch.
You son
All
of a
right,
bitch.
man.
All right, listen. Next one's on me. Okay, we'll go to DJ's Pizza.
All right.
That'll be on
April
me.
28th, after BB King's Fozzy 02, the first show ever, we
Yes.
will go out somewhere and you'll buy from me. How's that sound?
Fozzo 2. Well, actually, Portnoy wants me to do a White Castle challenge. So if you guys don't mind hanging out, if you want to try to find the nearest White Castle or something, whatever, we could do a food
All right,
challenge.
let's do it. Yeah, because then Porno's coming to the show.
Yeah.
I think, and then we're gonna have
Hopefully.
some special. We have some special treats planned that we talked about earlier in the week that we're gonna do at the end of our show.
Treats, special treats like cookies or what?
Well, no, like special treat for the fans.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. I text you about it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Maybe I'll bring some cookies.
Bring some cookies. All right, Chris, thank you so much for hanging out. And guys, that is episode 14 for you. And well, I'm sorry I couldn't get to the Yo Paulie fan mail and anything else because Chris just doesn't shut the fuck up. And this was supposed to be a 20-minute interview, but no. But
well,
honestly,
now you should just quit now because it's not going to get any better than this.
No,
it's all
that's
downhill from here. Now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. This is the last episode of the Paulie Z Show. We are finished. No, but really, let me just plug a couple things real quick. The PaulieZShow.com is the website. You can also get it on iTunes, and remember, it's free to download and to subscribe to. So go to iTunes, type in the Paulie Z Show. Also, you can read my tweets at twitter.com/ZO2Paulie. And email me at yopaulie@thepauliezshow.com. And, tell me what you think or recommend some food places or whatever. And obviously, ZO2.com. Check out the band. And Z-Rock is the show. And Fozzy's new album, Chasing the Grail. Yeah, there's a lot of shit. Fozzy's new album, Chasing the Grail, is excellent. And I wouldn't lie to you. And the production is much, much better than the older ones. So the songs are stronger. Everything is just stronger. So kudos. It's a really, really good job. And I look forward to playing with you in April. Thanks so much, bro.
Thank you, man. Thanks, guys.
All right, later.
You're a whole lot better looking with the afro.